like we're probably coming up towards some sort of climax. I mean, there's only one servant, I think, left of the original 7, aside from Saber. But then we also have this other guy, so we'll see. Time to continue the Grail War? Indeed it is. Okay. We're starting with the word then, which is kind of confusing to me, because I don't have much context right now. It has been several weeks. So... Alright, here we go. Then, the next thing I know, it's morning. Pathetic. Couldn't sleep a wink. Ugh, another struggle, honestly. I've been having trouble sleeping for more than like 4 hours at a time recently, which seems like a problem. I don't know. Maybe I should have that like medically looked at, but yeah, it's probably fine. It's probably nothing. You know, in fact, I was reading a science article the other day that's postulated that actually we're supposed to sleep in like 2 4-hour shifts and then just wake up in the middle of the night and like, I don't know, write a novel or something. That's how they did it back in the day, from what I've been told. I don't know, it still strains credulity to me, but I mean, there's some validity to it. Really, the wacky sleep theory that I subscribe to is the idea that teenagers are naturally night owls, specifically so they can keep watch while everyone else is sleeping. Because that makes sense to have natural shifts in the sleeping schedule. That way someone's always alert to watch out for predators. Anyways, today, no matter what she says, Saber and I are going on a date. Right! We're going on a date with Saber! I completely forgot about that. Yeah. Call me overly practically minded and a bit of a spoil sport, but for me, I thought that the whole, nearly getting murdered the other day by an incredibly powerful being was slightly more important than the date, but okay. My first priority will be to take her to plenty of places so she'll have a chance to enjoy herself. I've been trying to search my mind for the perfect spot for a date, but before I could come up with anything, my alarm went off. Okay. I'd turned the alarm clock on just in case. As hard as I tried, I still couldn't think of anything last night, so I borrowed an alarm clock from Tosaka, figuring I might have to pull an all-nighter. Man, that's amateur work. Everyone, the real folks know that you don't set an alarm, you set 5 alarms to go off sequentially. Not that it's done any good. Come to think of it, I've never been on a date. I sigh again. That's sort of a problem. I'm nervous enough, plus I didn't sleep, but I think the worst part is how shocked I am that after staying up all night to think about it, I couldn't come up with a single thing a girl might like. Fine, I'm going to leave it all to chance. I'm just going to take her all over the place, and she'll learn what it's like to have a good time. Okay, I'll just take her to cute shops. Well, I feel like there's a fundamental flaw in that plan, but I've already made up my mind. There's nothing else I can think of, but what this all boils down to is that today is going to be a day packed with fun, and it'll go on until Saber says she's had enough. So Isva has not yet awoken? No, she's still asleep. Doesn't look like she's going to wake up anytime soon, so you two got lucky there. If they were awake, she would have followed Cheryl around and gotten in your way. I still wouldn't put it past her. Yes, we cannot have her accompany Cheryl like she has been doing. Things may have taken an unexpected turn last night, but today we shall go and search for the remaining masters. Shiro does not have time to be taking care of Isville. It seems Saber and I have a slightly different outlook on how today is supposed to go. Surely that won't be a problem. Well, hasn't talked about her getting in the way like that, but oh well. It's not my place to tell you exactly what you're doing. This is you and Shiro's problem. Tosaka laughs mischievously. Huh? A problem between Shiro and I? We finish breakfast, and it seems like a good time to leave. Saber is ready to look for masters, but I'm determined to execute my plan as well. Not that I have a plan, again, my plan is just to wing it, but dang it, I'm going to execute it. I just need to be a man and tell her. About that, Saber. We're going to go to the neighboring town today. You have to get ready. I want you to do it now. Are we going to go search for masters? I suggest we go to the suburbs instead of the neighboring town. That's not what we're doing. The two of us are going to go out and have fun today. So there's no point in us going to the suburbs. Everyone knows that the suburbs is where fun goes to die. Well, everyone who's like one of those transit YouTubers. I mean, I'm sure they mean well, but they're kind of annoying sometimes, I must admit. Saber freezes. I try to ignore the sound of Chisaka trying and largely failing to control her laughter behind me. I will get for her for that later. Shiro, I do not understand. It is not you and Rin going out to have fun, but... If I'm going, you're the only one who could come with me, Saber. Chisaka's going to stay back and watch Ilya, so she has nothing to do with this. This is ridiculous. You and I going to the next town to investigate will yield nothing. There's no point to this. What are you trying to accomplish here? Saber's pretty clearly frustrated. I kind of figured something like this would happen, but things are looking even bleaker than I thought, since she clearly thinks we're going out to town? Out of town, I assume, to search for masters. Out to town? I mean, I guess out to town. I don't think it works in this context. This is rough. I'm being really clear, but you still don't get it, Saber. I'm trying to ask you on a date. I ignore Chisaka's stare as I speak to Saber. I'm not sure how much Saber understands. I do not understand what you mean. Can you clarify, Shiro? Right, yeah, I mean, Saber, she's an old school girl. She comes from a time where it wasn't dating, it was courtship, alright? You gotta use the language of the past. She looks even more irritated. And suddenly, it's like a switch flips in my head. There's no sense beating around the bush here. It'd be best if I were just blunt with her. Shiro, if you tell me to go to town, then I will obey. However, I would appreciate it if you explain what the purpose of this date is. Like, a date just like any other. October 3rd? January the 11th? What is so special about today's date that you have decided to refer to it as the date, as such? No matter how familiar I am with this age, there are terms I still do not know. Please do not use technical terms without explaining them. So about my joke earlier that we need to use the term courtship instead of date. And what can I say? What can I say? I tend to be pretty good at sussing these sorts of things out. I am an expert at wooing women from the Middle Ages. No, not middle-aged women, to be clear. Women from, like, medieval time period. You know, roughly, we'll say, like, 800 to 1300 or so? AD? Yeah. It's not really a technical term. I can teach you if you don't know, but a date is when someone goes out and has fun with a girl. Saber goes completely still. A girl? Do you mean me? She's dazed now, muttering. When I nod yes, Saber looks even more confused. I understand the meaning of the word now, but I still do not understand your intentions. For what reason would you do such a thing? I wasn't expecting this question. I mean, like, typically asking someone on a date is kind of, you know, implies the intention. To a certain extent, at least, you don't need to get into the weeds. I mean, I know what the point of a date is. But now that I'm on the spot and Saber wants me to explain to her face, well... She's confused because you're using an unusual term. Drop date and just use a term that's easier to understand. And dates? Again, maybe not from Saber's perspective, but I sympathize with Shiro. I mean, date is a pretty common term. Like, you wouldn't normally confuse that unless you were also buying, like, dried fruits or something. Listen, Saber, a date basically means a tryst. Okay, so I kind of know what a tryst is. I'm not sure if I'd say they're complete. I mean, they can involve each other for sure. Sure, maybe talking about going out and having fun, but what he's really getting at here is the whole boy trying to attract the attention of a girl he likes thing. Immediately, Saber's demeanor changes entirely. I cough loud. The second may be right, but I am pretty confident that a date and a tryst are two very different things. Yeah, I don't know. And tryst is not a word I use very often, but my understanding of it is it's more scandalous in nature than a date, just by its sort of default setting. But I don't think it's worth mentioning. From her reaction, it looks like Saber finally understands what a date is. Exactly, Saber. We're going to head to town, and we're not going to fight. We can't fight during the day anyway, because there are people around. So there should be no problem with us spending the day however we want. That may be true, but this seems pointless. I can see nothing that you will gain from doing such a thing. I mean, it's not all about material gain, necessarily. That's not entirely true, and I wouldn't mind if it were. I've decided to spend the day with you, Saber, so don't worry about me. We're going to go out to town, and that's that. Nothing you say will change my mind, Saber. I look her straight in the eye. Saber ponders for a while, looking serious. Then even if I refuse, you will be heading out to town on your own? Yep, I'm definitely going. Or everything I spent all night thinking about will have been a waste. I would have said everything that I spent all night planning would have been a waste, but didn't plan anything, so yeah. It's good to be spontaneous anyway. Then I cannot allow you to go unaccompanied. I am a servant, and so cannot leave my master to go alone. After taking a deep breath, Saber answers in her usual manner. Okay, that could have gone better, but at least I've managed to convince her to come out. I shouldn't sweat the small stuff at this point. Have fun, bring back something nice. As we step outside, I make a rude gesture at Tosaka since she made fun of me until the very end. So, what specifically are we going to do, Shiro? Well, let's just head to the neighboring town. We'll catch the bus at the intersection. The hilly path is unusually quiet. It's a little past 9 in the morning on a weekday, and the town is starting to come alive, but it must be a little early to be heading out somewhere. There's no one on the road. It's like we have the road to ourselves. Now that I think about it, I don't feel guilty about skipping school anymore. I've been cooped up in the house these past few days, and I guess it's just become habit at this point to where it's just a new normal and there's nothing to feel guilty about. Of course, you are a master, so you should not be walking around so casually. Saber's tone is sharp. Saber following behind me is nothing new, but it feels different today. I feel this immense pressure directed at me, and that's putting it mildly. I can tell Saber is going to be tough to handle. Just how I like him. We get on the bus. It would have been stuffed with people about an hour ago, but there's only a handful of people using it now. The only people on the bus are old women with children. So it feels like we have the place to ourselves. I have to say so. We fit in just fine, because, you know, And technically, Saber's what, like 1,000 years old or something, and yeah, I'm technically a minor in this story, I believe. So, old woman and child. Not aesthetically, of course, but Saber, let's sit at the very back. I call out to Saber, who, for some reason, tries to sit at the front of the bus and leads her to the wider seat at the back. See, actually, look, I know why Shiro wants to be in the back of the bus, but from Saber's perspective, I would have thought Saber wants to be at the back of the bus too, along the same logic of like the when you're in a restaurant, sit with your back to the wall sort of idea. If you're sitting in the back of the bus, then there's no one behind you, so you can't be taken from behind by an attacker or something. So, I think this works great for the both of us. I would have thought Saber would have been more strategically minded in her seating. Oh, this is a nice little artwork. Saber quietly looks out over the passing scenery. I steal a glance at her and realize how crazy I am for what I'm trying to do today. Well, trying to go on a date and woo the legendary King Arthur. Taking the bus to near a town is an ordinary thing for me. But here, in this ordinary place, something extraordinary is happening. Or, well, I'm finding myself questioning whether I'm actually doing this whole date thing, and my mind starts spinning and whirling like some complex cube puzzle. Yeah, I can relate. Yeah, there are some times where it feels like you've done something in life that your prior context in the world has like no precedence for actually succeeding. And then, like, I don't know, maybe this is a weird me thing, but when that happens to me, at times, then like a couple days later, I'll be like reflecting on it, and it's like, it's almost as if my brain, like it's hard to describe, but I go somewhat like lightheaded almost, would be kind of the way to describe it, where it's like my brain is still wrestling with the new reality of the circumstances of my life. It's weird. I don't know if that's a universal experience, if that's just me being weird, but it's happened a couple times. Like, you're still reconciling. You're almost in denial that it actually worked. Crap, I'm getting really nervous. It's kind of getting out of control. I take a deep breath to calm myself down so Saber won't notice. But then, and I know this is stupid, I take another look at Saber. My heart skips a beat. I hardly recognize Saber as she sits next to me. Or, well, it's less that I don't recognize her than it is that the situation itself is unrecognizable. It makes me realize that she is something else. She is different. I didn't realize it when we were at home. This ordinary everyday life seems to me like it's become something entirely new and different just because Saber is here. Her golden blonde hair, her green eyes, those alone are enough to make her overwhelmingly beautiful. It hadn't really crossed my mind since I never had much to compare her to. I remember the first time I met Saber. I must have been avoiding her because I was too embarrassed to admit that I was admiring Saber. No matter what Saber says to me, she's a girl before she's a swordsman. I guess that's somewhat fair, Beta. Although, I mean, let's be honest. Age gap here is like... compared to like other, especially like anime adjacent romance setups, like... this is one of the less weird ones, let's be honest. Anyways, I didn't know how to react to her, and I didn't understand my feelings for her. I have to admit, I know I sound stupid. I've developed trust and affection for Saber past the point of no return. and now I've decided to go on a date with her. The order of events is all backward. Now as I get off the bus... Is that an accepted spelling of bus? 2 S's? I don't think so. Anyways, I finally realized what a big deal it is to go on a date with the girl I like. But that's okay. I can only give it my all, so I can't very well take it all back and cower in fear now. I calm myself and try to shake off my ridiculous apprehension. The bus crosses the bridge and drives towards the development area and its masses of tall buildings. I breathe out, almost whistling, and ready myself. Yeah. The familiar bus announcement tells us that we've arrived at Shinto Station. I'm not trying to like rag too hard on grammatical errors. I mean, this is a very long visual novel, so like, yeah, they would have. And ideally, you want the copy editing and proofreading and stuff to get everything, but often something's gonna slip through the cracks. And it's just since I'm having to narrate it out loud, I notice it probably more so than if I was just reading it for myself because I'm trying not to sound like an idiot. And then if I stumble on my words, then that reflects poorly on me. But then with the words themselves are stumbling and making me stumble on them. But, yeah. Anyways, it's only 9 in the morning, but the area around the station is already busy. Most of the shops don't open until around 10 o'clock, but cafes and smaller bookshops are starting to open up. There are already more people here than you'd expect in Miyama, even if it were a weekend. And, like, I know for certain, like, my own... like, for example, when I'm writing scripts for my YouTube channel, they are not grammar mistake and, you know, perfect, free and have perfect spelling or anything. I'm just saved by the fact that I don't publish those scripts in written form publicly for everyone to scrutinize. We get off the bus and Saber looks around the area, displeased. I don't blame her. She hasn't really agreed to the whole date thing, and everyone is staring at her now. I doubt she loves that. People are adjusting their hours without permission. Oh, you talking about me starting at 8 p.m. instead of 10? I hope this isn't worse for you guys. I think it should probably be better for most of you, honestly. But I just realized, like, 10 was kind of late. And my other obligations in life have actually changed schedule-wise in the last couple months. So actually starting a bit earlier makes more sense for my schedule now than it did previously. And I just think it's a better time slot, honestly. Like, especially for like a 4-hour stream starting at 10 and then ending at like 2 in the morning. Like, for anyone on the East Coast, that's a tough ask. Like, I don't blame you for not sticking around for the whole live stream in that case. Now, starting at 8 and ending at 12, now I do blame you quite a bit, actually. Just kidding, just kidding. You watch whenever you want. That's why the VODs exist. But also watch live, because it's more fun that way. Might be worse for the European viewers, but it wasn't really ideal for them either, because for them, it seemed like the beginning of the stream was, like, ridiculously early, and then maybe they'd catch, like, the last hour or two. So I feel like it was, like, a worst of both worlds. Of, like, you know, Americans could, like, get, like, a little bit in the beginning, and then the end was, like, ridiculously late. And Europeans could grab a little at the end, or at the end, and then the beginning was ridiculously early, so... Yeah. I figure you might as well just jump into one bucket well, instead of kind of straddling both poorly. But that's just my thing. Who knows? I mean, if it's unpopular, we might switch back, but I don't foresee that happening. I think 8 p.m. is probably the new standard time slot to start on. Crap, I should have figured this might happen if I brought Saber here in the morning. But this discomfort is bound to follow us around all day. The only cure for this I can think of is Saber enjoying herself so much she forgets all the awkwardness. Alright. I smack my fist into my hand and look over to Saber. Saber, before we start, is there anywhere you'd like to go? We came all the way out here, so we can do whatever you want today. No, there's nothing. This place holds no particular interest to me, and I have little knowledge about it with which to make any other decisions. Dang. Women, am I right? Never wanting to, like, offer a suggestion on where to go or what to do. You sure? Well, this is gonna be tough. And I really do just have to wing it. If you don't want to go anywhere, and I don't know where to go, things are looking kinda grim. Okay, see, Cheryl, here's the mistake you're making right now. This should be your internal monologue, not what you're literally saying to her of like, oh yeah, I have no idea what we're doing. Like, you need to be confident, sir. Like, wing it, sure, but don't let her ever know you're winging it. I hope you're not saying you have made no plans for today, Shiro. See, because now this is what happens when you actually just announce that you have no plans whatsoever. Well, I have some plans, but they're a little light on details. They're more of, I have concepts of plans, honest. For the time being, let's just hit up as many shops as we can. That's kinda hard, too. I know some stores I'd enjoy, but I have no idea what girls like. Honestly, if I'd known this would happen to me someday, it'd have been smart to go out with a girl from class at least once. True. I do not intend to object, but there is something wrong with you, Shiro. I would not have thought much had you suggested to take a break, but that you have no plans for this interlude is completely ridiculous. She's right. Crap, now Saber's in lecturing mode. This is the first time she's ever given me such an earful outside the dojo. She wasn't into this from the start, and I figured all the people staring at her wouldn't help, but I didn't realize it'd be this bad. I've been waiting for the opportunity to bring up your lack of planning. You may be keenly aware of the people around you, but you care little for yourself. Consequently, you have ended up paying the price for your lack of self-regard. Ouch. Hey, are you listening, Shiro? I am. Bottom line is that you don't understand why you're here. Right, Saber? So rocket size, just look up a place to go. Okay, to be fair to Shiro here, we are talking, like, when does this game take place? 2004? Like, just look up the website of the various businesses. Like, A, you certainly can't do that, like, on the spot when you're actually looking around, because you don't have a smartphone that can do that. Like at this point, we cannot do that. That had to be pre-planned. Additionally, though, even, like, in 2004... because I think that's when this game takes place. And granted, maybe Japan was different. In 2004, I think it would not, it would be reasonable for a business to have a website, but especially even for like a local shop that's not like a big franchise or something, it would be far from like mandatory that like you have to have a website. So, and I'm not sure how effective things like Google Maps were in 2004. Like, obviously these days you can like get like incredibly detailed information, like just search up the company's name, boom, you get all their hours of operation, you get their menu, their prices, the online reviews. Back in 2004, I mean, what are you getting? Maybe their location? I'm not sure if you can get much beyond that. I don't know. I wasn't really Googling businesses in 2004. My apologies. So, yeah. Anyways, I know the places I'm going to take you will bore you, so I don't blame you for not liking it. Okay, so there's this concept in PR called managing expectations, right? And the idea being, you want to generally underpromise and overdeliver, right? Because say the experience you deliver, say your customers, is like on the scale of 1 to 10, it's a 5. Okay? If you're promising a 10 and then you deliver a 5, people are going to hate you and give you like a 1-star review. If you're promising like a 3 and then give a 5, people are going to be, pleasantly surprised and moderately favor you. That applies to an extent in interpersonal relationships, right? If say I've got a girlfriend and I'm promising her like, oh, we're gonna go on this like really good date for Valentine's Day, and then I bring her to McDonald's, she's gonna hate me. Granted, bring her to McDonald's for any date, she's gonna hate you regardless, unless you got a particularly interesting and kind of weird dynamic going on. let's not say McDonald's. Let's say Olive Garden, okay? Olive Garden is not a terrible place for a date. If you talk it up a whole bunch, though, of like, we're going to go on this amazing date, it's going to be a very nice, fancy restaurant, and then you bring her to Olive Garden, then, you gotta grab the shovel, because, you gotta, or, yeah, you're dead. I'm sorry, it's over for you. You might as well just give it up now. What am I getting at here, though? Yes, you want to manage expectations, but you don't want to put expectations in the ground. You don't want to say, this will bore you, you will not like it. Because then she doesn't want to go at all. You want to be like casual, of like, oh yeah, I got plans, it'll be cool, it'll be fun, it'll be, nice little pleasant thing. I know this hole in the wall, it's interesting, right? Not, oh yeah, I mean, I guess we could go over to the cafe. I mean, it only serves food that you hate, so you'll probably dislike it, but yeah, I mean, we'll be there together, and that's, like, no! That is managing the expectations too much. You want to be giving a 5 and promising a 3, not giving a 5 and promising like a -4, because now you don't even make the sale. Shiro. And I thought your, like, combat abilities needed work. Okay. We'll be fine. It is not that, but I am only saying that now is not the time for this kind of thing. I know that, but I'm also ignoring that since I've already decided to spend all day with you on a date, Saber. I'm not going to change my mind, no matter what you say. That's that. I look straight at Saber. The only thing Saber can do is look back at me in shock. But if you have something to say, at least hear you out. That's right. I will consider your opinion. Aren't I the best boyfriend in the world? It's not as if that's like that's base level. That's the minimum, man. That's not a special, like, privilege or special grace you're offering her. That's the... Oh, man. I feel bad for Saber. She's got to deal with this knucklehead. I'm sure you have things to say, and I'd appreciate if you told me now. That way we won't have to worry about holding back later. If you say you don't want to go on a date with me, I'll think of something else we can do. Something else that'll be just you and I going out together doing an activity. You know, the dictionary definition of a date. Not that, like, a guy and a girl can't, like, hang out as friends, but also, if you've asked for the intention of, like, it's a date, and, like, you can't just, especially, like, on the same day, you can't just, like, remove that. I know you don't need to go through all that trouble. I just, in the anime they watch Star Wars. Oh, okay, now. This seems like, which one? Like the original? Or, what I think is kind of more funny, the one that would have been, like, currently airing when this game initially came out, which 2004, if my, like, that's gotta be, because Phantom Menace was 99, so, like, yeah, 2004, that's gotta be. Revenge of the Sith, right? Maybe Attack of the Clones, probably Revenge of the Sith? Which is, like, that is a hilarious movie to start as your first Star Wars movie. I think it's actually probably one of the better ones these days, but I feel like if you don't have the context of the surrounding franchise, it would probably come across as very melodramatic. I don't know. Let's see. No, you don't need to go through all that trouble. It's odd seeing it sitting Saber at a loss for words. Well, if you have nothing to say, then let's go. You don't get mad about where we go, since you don't have any requests. Okay. See, I'm torn as to whether to cheer for Shiro for that statement, or facepalm at that. Because I agree with the sentiment, honestly, right? Like, there's nothing more annoying. Well, there are a few things more annoying than the person who's like, oh no, I don't have any requests. we'll do whatever, but also I'm gonna veto everything you come up with. Simultaneously, though. I feel like if you're in a relationship, you kind of gotta tolerate that to some degree, because that's just called deciding where to eat dinner when you have a girlfriend. Maybe we should go to an aquarium. I hear those are popular. That sounds good, so I grab Saber's hand. Sure, I'm not complaining, but I don't think it is necessary to hold hands. Huh? Well, we're wasting time here, so we're going to run a bit, and I'll guide you to wherever we're going, so follow me and don't let go. Okay, so Mario plays gaming. That's actually an interesting point. That Shiro should give up. He's a terrible boyfriend. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I kind of disagree with the conclusion, though, because, like, and who knows, this opens a whole other can of worms. I'm not even sure if I agree with what I'm about to say, but interpersonal relationships are a skill, clearly. You can be good at them, you can be bad at them. Some people are awful at them. Some people seem to pick it up pretty easily. But here, and again, I'm working through this in real time. Because I feel like it's not socially acceptable, or how to put this. I feel like you get sort of, if you are bad at being in a relationship, that impugns your character more so than other skills, right? If I drew a picture and it was terrible, and I showed you my terrible picture and it was terrible, like, you're gonna come to the conclusion, oh, he's a terrible artist. But you're not gonna say, like, oh, he's a terrible artist and therefore he's a bad person. And the only way I can get better at being an artist is if I work at it and get practice and do a bunch of terrible art until eventually I'm actually good at art. It's like, I don't know, like, because this is Shiro's first date. So it should be expected that he'd be bad at it. I mean, how many skills were you really good at your first time? So basically, what I'm saying is, we should, as a society, allow more grace for people to just be kind of bad at relationships. And to kind of fail on the first few. And you know, it's not that he's toxic or anything, he's just inexperienced in the ways of love. Anyways, well, we're wasting time here, so we're going to run a bit. And I'll guide you to where we're going, so follow me and don't let go. But not like this. I start running without waiting for Saber's reply. I've been pretty clear with Saber, so no more being pathetic in front of her. Saw. I wouldn't pick Saw as a date movie necessarily. Maybe, I don't know. Actually, I mean, horror can be good. It depends on the person you're dating. Right? Yeah, I watched a horror film with a girlfriend of mine once. It went alright. I guess on the one hand, like, there's that idea of, like, especially I think from the female psychology end, it lets you kind of be like, ooh, oh no, it's a scary movie, I'm gonna be protected by my boyfriend in, like, a safe environment. But sometimes people just don't like horror movies. So I don't know. I don't think I would drop Saw on someone just out of the blue of like, oh, we're going to see a movie. And when we get there and like, 2 tickets for Saw. That's cool with you, right, babe? But, you know, talking about it first, like, that actually could be a decent date movie if we both understand what's going to be happening going into it. For now, I just need to escort her to every place I can think of. Saber's hand in mine, I run through the crowd. Apparently Saber's given up resisting, as she just follows obediently. It's a little before 10 o'clock. We have 2 hours until lunchtime, so I'm going to make the most of that and really knock Saber's socks off.